Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Wednesday, the 9th of October. Before we get into the news, please remember to like this video, share your views in the comments, and share the video with your family and friends.
Reach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
Now for the news in detail. The mother of Lisa Gay Kubri, the woman whose decomposing body was found in Glengough, St. Catherine on Tuesday, is struggling to come to terms with the tragedy. Sonia Beverly says her 32-year-old daughter was a quiet and cheerful individual. Kubri was reported missing on September 28. Her body was discovered in a shallow grave near her home in Glengough. The suspect, a man known to Kubri and her family, led the police to the scene. According to Beverly, the 24-year-old suspect had been under her care since he was 10 years old.
It's very hard. Come like I get a big shock in my life. I never expect this. I asked him Saturday, last week Saturday, when I come back from the market, I asked him if he saw my daughter, and he was at the house, and he said, no, I don't see her for morning, I go to Lawrence Tavern and I just come back here. And he followed me to the station, and him all over the place with me. I helped me look for her in the night, and him lay down and sleep all the Saturday night. I don't know how him eat. I don't know how him do it. I don't know him eat in front of me yard. I mean, never know side in front of the yard.
The man reportedly turned himself in on Monday at the Lawrence Tavern police station in the St. Andrew North Police Division. The police say the man allegedly confessed to his involvement in Kubri's disappearance. Beverly says her daughter had been diagnosed with autism.
She's very quiet into the community. Everybody all missed her. She saw you. For one time, she never forgot your face. And she will just jump and calling you. She go to church. She love the politics. She cannot speak. So I do everything for them. I wash for them. I cook for them. I do everything for them. Because their father died and I had to take care of them. I was their mother and I was their father. I take care of them.
I am not happy that my child's killer could get a reduced sentence. That is the cry of the mother of 80-year-old Daniel Rowe, Sudeen Mason. Mason is not happy that her child's killer has pleaded guilty to her murder.
With the verdict, I'm not happy with the verdict.
Why?
Because I know that she plead guilty. She plead guilty, so I know that she would get in a reduced sentence.
Have you been asked by the court to make any kind of impact statement?
Yes, I do.
And what did you tell them?
That's for the next court date.
Okay, you're going to make the statement in court.
Yeah.
Mason says she has been receiving support from her family since her daughter's killing.
Well, I have my family support.
Did you know Coyote Satchel?
Well, not in person, but we spoke once over the phone when her father took the baby out of my care without my knowledge. I was in the hospital to give birth to my son.
Mm-hmm.
And he took Daniel to her?
Yeah, she was living with him at the time. Daniel was 3 years old, and he went at my house and take her in social prison.
So Daniel would have known her?
Yeah, she knew her.
One of Miss Mason's aunts, Yvette Thomas, is worried about her niece following a spate of losses.
Family tried to be around her, and now that dad died, her granddad died as well, so now she's very depressed because when she found out that he died again, she was screaming, crying out, fainting all over the place. And that wasn't too long after her mom also passed shortly after 1 year after the baby, so she went into real depression.
Wow. So she has lost 3 relatives in the last year?
4, grandma and her daughter and granddad and her mother. She's been really crying and depressed. A lot of pain in the head and all these things. Blood pressure sky high.
Human rights lobby groups Stand Up for Jamaica and Jamaicans for Justice are calling for a full investigation into the treatment of Haitian migrants and asylum seekers. The call follows the repatriation of 20 Haitian nationals who arrived in Portland on Saturday. The group, consisting of several men, 3 women and a baby, was returned to their homeland on Sunday. According to SUFJ and JFJ, this brings the total number of Haitians seeking asylum in Jamaica since July of 2023 to over 130. JFJ's policy and advocacy specialist Jade Williams said Jamaica's response is not in accordance with the 2009 refugee policy. She wants the government to take immediate action to protect the rights of the Haitians and ensure they are treated with dignity.
According to our refugee policy of 2009, persons who land in Jamaica that should possibly be seeking refugee or asylum status should be able to declare that to the authorities. Unfortunately, our response has not allowed for these migrants to be able to articulate their needs or for them to be individually assessed to see whether or not they have legitimate cases for asylum. To date, we have seen over 130 Haitians who have landed in Jamaica who have appeared to be seeking asylum being expelled without the chance to receive legal services, consultation, and by virtue of that, they would be unable to communicate their need for asylum status or their indication that they would be seeking asylum status.
SUFJ and the JFJ highlighted concerns that the head of human rights group Freedom Imaginaries, Melaine Alain, despite advocating for the rights of the refugees entering the island recently, was denied access to visit them. Williams said there must be an examination of the processes to determine their status in line with those detailed in Jamaica's refugee policy, as well as an examination of reports of abuse and unnecessary or arbitrary detention.
In accordance with our international obligations and even our local obligations, we're concerned with the way that these processes have gone forward, and our call is for the government to launch an investigation into the treatment of these Haitian migrants in order to determine if the processes that we are obligated to follow are being followed, and to investigate these reports of unnecessary detention as well.
A team of officers assigned to the Portland Police Division seized a firearm and several rounds of ammunition during an operation in Red Hills District, Buff Bay in the parish on Tuesday. Reports from the Port Antonio Police are that about 8:30 a.m., lawmen were in the area when they signaled the driver of a Toyota Probox driving along the roadway to stop. He complied. He was searched, and a search of the vehicle was also conducted. During the search of the vehicle, one 9mm Taurus pistol with a magazine containing 13 9mm rounds of ammunition was found in his possession. He was subsequently taken into custody. However, his identity is being withheld pending further investigation. The spouse of Michael Adams, a detainee at the Denhamtown police lockup who died at the Kingston Public Hospital on Monday, is questioning the circumstances under which he died. Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, head of the Kingston Western Police Division, said that the 23-year-old was taken to hospital last Friday. He was actually admitted to the Kingston Public Hospital after complaining of feeling ill, and we had a subsequent report from the doctor suggesting that he died somewhere around 12:20 a.m. on the 7th of October, SSP Phillips outlined. Adams was charged with murder on December 11, 2023 and has been in custody since. The man's 39-year-old girlfriend, Katie Brown, said she first learned that her boyfriend of 3.5 years had been hospitalized when she went to visit him Sunday morning. But she said she did not get a chance to see him because the police at the hospital told her she needed a letter from the Denhamtown police station. When she returned to the police station, she reportedly was told that a letter was not necessary, and in any event, it would not have been signed because the office was closed. The frustrated woman said she returned to the police station on Monday and heard that Adams had died. The police officer said Michael Adams passed, and me say him can't pass cause him never sick. Not never do him when him come in, she recounted. The Independent Commission of Investigations is probing Adams' death. Chief Investigating Officer Kellyanne Gale said the entities are awaiting a post-mortem and will also speak with officers at the Denhamtown police station to determine the reason the detainee needed medical attention. The Spanish Town Criminal Investigation Branch is probing a gun attack on a man at his home in Shelter Rock. The 22-year-old remained hospitalized with multiple gunshot wounds. Reports are that he was at home when around 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday, he was attacked by a gunman who shot him repeatedly. He was assisted to hospital where he was admitted in serious condition. It was revealed that he suffered injuries to his neck, shoulder and leg. No motive has yet been established in the matter, which remains under investigation. The Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, is investigating a massive fraud scheme targeting financial institutions. This follows the arrest and charge of 5 suspects in the multi-million-dollar racket last week. The 5 appeared in the St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday, where they were remanded until November 21st. Investigators alleged that one of the 5, Steve Oakley, is a mastermind behind the racket. The police say since the start of this year, several financial institutions have been fleeced of more than $10 million. But in court on Tuesday, Dane Nicholson, head of the Anti-Fraud Committee of the Jamaica Bankers Association, disclosed that the investigation is ongoing to determine the extent of the fraud and the number of institutions defrauded. It is alleged that over 3 months, the accused created fraudulent job letters and bank statements and applied for several loans and credit cards from the targeted financial institutions. The racket was uncovered by the National Commercial Bank in March this year, and an investigation was launched. During a raid by CTOC detectives last week, the accused were captured at a house in Portmore, St. Catherine, and several illegal items were seized. The cops say they seized several bank stamps, seals, payslips, and credit cards in the operation. Concern has been raised about the high number of young children being diagnosed with cancer in the country. According to pediatric hematologist-oncologist Dr. Kadeen Origio, most of Jamaica's children who have cancer are between the ages of 1 and 4 years. She added that every year some 35 new patients are admitted at the Bustamante Hospital for Children in Kingston.
Most of our pediatric cancer patients are usually between the ages of 1 to 8 years, with most of our patients actually falling between the 1 to 4 year group. And this is quite concerning because these are patients who are in their developmental year. So imagine a patient like these being continually admitted to the hospital, being taken away from their family, taken out of the family, admitted to the hospital. They require quite intensive support. Not just medication, but also social support is indeed necessary in this patient population.
She said between 2011 and 2015, the hospital saw patients from Kingston and St. Andrew, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and Westmoreland.
A large number of our cases do come from the Kingston and St. Andrew area, but you see where we have patients coming from as far west as Westmoreland. We also have a great distribution in the St. Catherine and Clarendon area as well. So the mortality trend in patients under 5 and under 1 year has slowly declined over the years. However, we do want that graph to continually trend downward to 0.
In business, the effects of Hurricane Beryl, as well as travel advisories from the US, resulted in economic shocks and a 2.1% decline for the third quarter of this calendar year. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said the growth shock is expected to result in a contraction of 0.2% for this fiscal year, down from 1.8%. Dr. Clark gave the update in Parliament yesterday as he tabled the first supplementary estimates and the fiscal policy paper interim report. The supplementary estimates provide for an increase in expenditure by $40.7 billion.
Given the impact of Hurricane Beryl and the altered macroeconomic profile, the central government's first supplementary estimates provide for an increase in total expenditure and payments by approximately $40.7 billion. The increased expenditure is entirely due to expenses on the recurrent side of the budget, where both debt and non-debt expenses have increased. Recurrent program expenses have increased by $31.3 billion, reflecting, among other things, the additional expenses undertaken to initiate recovery from the impact of Hurricane Beryl, and that is about $11.8 billion. Also included in the recurrent programs are additional subvention amounts to a number of public bodies. Some of the recurrent program increases include provisions for the amounts related to the SPARK program. So we had made the provision for SPARK entirely in the contingency provision on the capital side of the budget. But as you go towards implementation, there are aspects of the SPARK program that can't be placed there. They have to be placed on recurrent, i.e. pre-investment activities. Wages and salaries are also increased by $11.6 billion. due to higher than originally planned third-year costs on the implementation of the restructured public sector compensation system.
Clark explained that increased non-tax revenue will fund the revised budget.
The government is managing the significant growth shock to the economy through utilizing flows arising from the disaster risk financing system that we have put in place, as well as the overperformance of the bond issue associated with the securitization of the Norman Manley International Airport. These have allowed for the continued downward trajectory in Jamaica's debt to GDP ratio, while also maintaining most of the planned expenditures and also addressing the unplanned expenditures having to do with the impact of the hurricane. The additional total expenditure and payments of $40.7 billion will be financed primarily through estimated additional revenue and grant flows, primarily arising from non-tax revenues and tax revenue flows. The increased non-tax revenue flows include higher than estimated flows from the securitization of the Norman Manley International revenue flows that are due to the government, and utilization of available cash resources of $4.4 billion will provide the additional financing required.
In sports, recently appointed head coach of Jamaica's national football team, Steve McLaren, has made a strong impression in his short time in the role, according to Jamaica Football Federation President Michael Ricketts. Ricketts says he appreciates McLaren's communication skills, noting their close relationship and frequent updates via WhatsApp groups. He emphasized the importance of McLaren's role in educating local coaches. While McLaren's primary goal is to qualify Jamaica for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, he also aims to develop local players and coaches for long-term success. He emphasizes the importance of exposing young coaches to high-level football and enhancing player development. McLaren will lead the team in upcoming matches, including a visit to Nicaragua and a home game against Honduras on the 14th of October, as they aim for a spot in the Nations League quarterfinals. And that is it for your news roundup for today. We would appreciate you liking this video, leaving a comment, and sharing the video with your family and friends. Have a good evening, and see you next time.